If you could be anywhere else right now, where would you choose? Psalm 84 is a song for those who would rather be somewhere else. Though we can't be certain about the exact circumstances of the psalmist, one thing is clear. They are longing for a place far away. That place is the temple in Jerusalem, the courts of the Lord, a place that is wonderful to the psalmist. The whole being, inside and out, it longs to be in the temple. Why? Because the temple is a dwelling place of the living God. One of the convictions unique to the ancient people of Israel was that their God wasn't just a small local God, but he was the Lord of Lords, the King of Kings. That's why the scriptures open with Genesis, a God who creates everything and everyone. But they also believed that this God had chosen to dwell with them, to live among them in a special way. After rescuing them from Egypt, God instructs his people to build an ornate tent. It's called the tabernacle. And he then fills it with his glorious presence so that he can be with his people. Generations later, this tent is replaced by a permanent temple building. It's even more grand, even more spectacular. And God's glorious presence, it fills it again, just like the tabernacle. God had come to live among his people. The psalmist's longing for the temple then, it isn't so much a desire to admire the building itself, the architecture, the beauty, but to be in the place where God dwells. They long for the living God himself. Verses 3 and 4, they take this idea further. The psalmist reflects that ornate as the temple was, there's no law preventing birds from nesting in its rafters. Perhaps they'd even seen families of birds there over the years. And in this image, the psalmist sees something of God's welcome. Look at the birds they mention. Sparrows. They were cheap to buy, common birds at the time. And apparently, sparrows poo more than any other bird. They're messy. And yet the psalmist sees that these birds can nest in the presence of the Lord. Do you see their point? Even the apparently insignificant and messy can find a home with the living God. And it's not just birds that find a welcome. The psalmist sees the temple as a place that they can call home, a place to belong. And so they sing, better is one day in your court than 1,000 elsewhere. And I would rather be a doorkeeper in the house of my God than dwell in the tents of the wicked. A doorkeeper was a little like a bouncer. It's pretty menial work. The psalmists who wrote this song, the sons of Korah, they were themselves a type of doorkeeper. Yet God's presence is so glorious that even menial work in the temple is a delight. How good is it to be in the court of the Lord and to be near him in all of his majesty? No wonder that away from the temple, almost every verse of this psalm, it speaks and cries of a longing to be there. Yet rather than filling the psalmist with despair, it's precisely this longing which keeps them going. Journeying back to the temple would have meant passing through dry valleys, hard and thirsty work for weary travellers. But the psalm gives a striking picture. Because the destination is so wonderful, instead of being hard and painful, the journey is loaded with joy, anticipation, strength to endure the journey builds as the psalmists remember where they are going. It's as if this hope makes even the dry valleys a place of springs, pools on the roadside providing strength and nourishment. They know that they're heading home, to the presence of God. The psalmists were far from where they wanted to be, but as they delight in the welcome that awaited them, they found strength even in the wilderness. They knew that in the bigger picture, they were on their journey home, and therefore no step was wasted. When you long for a destination, your journey there is transformed. You can know joy and anticipation even in the driest valley. Getting up at 3 a.m. to catch a flight is always painful, but you will gladly do it if it takes you to where you want to be. Hundreds of years later, the Apostle Paul, he described what it is like living as a follower of Jesus. We live by faith, not by sight. We are confident and would prefer to be away from the body and at home with the Lord. As Christians, Paul says, we have somewhere we'd much rather be. We would rather be at home with the Lord, a home we cannot yet see, but that we still know awaits us. This home is ours because of Jesus' sacrifice on our behalf. Even though our rebellion against him, our track record of choosing our own path, this ought to separate us from God. Jesus died so that we can be brought back to him. Like the most insignificant and messy birds, Jesus offers a warm welcome to each of us. We experience some of that welcome now, but we will know it fully when we reach the future destination, promised to all of us who trust in God. A world made new, like a new temple, a place where God and humanity will dwell together for all time, never ending, never fading. It's a place each one of us can call home, a true home where we find the deepest sense of safety and belonging imaginable. It's a place free from suffering, free from tears, free from death and from wickedness. Above all, it's a place where we can enjoy the presence of God forever. It's the place we were made for, the place we belong. And so as we suffer and struggle in this world, it's not surprising that we should find ourselves longing and lovesick for this place. Psalm 84, it tunes our heart to long for this home all the more. And meditating on this wonderful future destination can transform us and give us fresh strength to endure the journey there. The dry valleys of this life may be hard, but a true home awaits us.